Hello and welcome back to the Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good things in life. Today is another Minimalism Q&A. This is Kids Edition and it's part 1. I know there will be a part 2 because I received so many questions that I only chose a few to go in this video, and then I know that I will record part 2 soon. And so if you have a question that is not addressed here, I would love for you to add it in the comments, and that way I can add it to part 2. A lot of these questions were asked in many different ways, and so I've combined some of them together with one question. So question number 1 is, how do I help my kid not hold on to everything? This is very, very normal. Every kid has a different personality. I will say that as we have adopted minimalism into our life, that kids, they really learn by our examples and they repeat things that I've said. And so that's just something, keep mirroring that for them. Keep showing them that this is a part of your life, and I really think that they are learning a lot more than we realize. Do keep in mind that kids have different personalities. I have one child that he's not really sentimental about hardly anything. He's ready to get rid of stuff. And my daughter, she holds on to everything, every little tiny piece of paper, every stuffed animal, every toy. She wants to hold on to it. So we do have to understand we are dealing with different personalities. One of the biggest tips that has worked for me is the pick 2. So what I will do is I will choose 2 things and I will say, okay, so I want you to pick which one of these that you want to keep. That way you are focusing on what they're keeping rather than what they're getting rid of. Or I will lay out 5 things and I will say, pick 2 of these that you're going to keep. So we're getting rid of 3 of them. Now, I typically will be pretty strategic in the things that I choose. I know that there's something that she really likes and then something that she probably is done with, she needs to get rid of. As a mom, I'm sort of helping her out in that way. But it is letting her feel in control, letting her make the decision, and it's teaching her that we're going to focus on the things that are important and we're going to let go of the things that aren't. Where do I start in my kids' rooms? It's overwhelming. And I can totally understand how that would be the case, especially if you're just getting started in your decluttering journey, in your minimalism journey. It can be very, very overwhelming. So the first thing that I would recommend that you do is to pull it all out. Now, this is not just the toys that's in your child's room. I would recommend bringing all of the toys that are from the entire house, bring them all in one space together. You may think, oh my goodness, that's crazy to do, but it's really not, because by doing this, we are going to be able to see how many toys they really, really have. And at that point, you can begin to say, okay, I didn't even know we had all of this in this category. This is something you never play with. Or, okay, I'm beginning to see the types of categories that we have. And so we're going to begin to thin out. We're going to begin the process of thinning out the toys. The next thing that you want to do is you want to determine exactly where you're going to store the toys. So for us, I utilize baskets. We have a larger basket for her stuffed animals that's in the corner of her room. She has a few baskets that are in her closet. And then downstairs, we have a closet and she has a few baskets there. This is the space we're using. Let's determine what are your favorite things that fit inside of this basket. And if they don't fit in this basket, they're going. Now that we have already established exactly where our things are going, this really helps us with maintaining, because I can notice, okay, the baskets are kind of overflowing. It's time for us to do another purge. It's time for us to declutter again because it's getting overwhelming. There's too much. This leads us to the next question. What do I do about stuffed animals? My children are so sentimental. There have been tears. I can completely relate to this. My daughter, she loves each and every one of her stuffed animals, and she can remember who has given her which stuffed animal. So I really try to utilize the take 2 things, pick your favorite with that. And we also, as I discussed earlier, we have that basket, and when it's starting to overflow, okay, there's too many, we need to start getting rid of something. Or after you have completely minimized, think about something comes in your house, it's time for something to leave. So that's the 1 in, 1 out rule. Now, I want to quickly address something here because I know I've experienced it in my own life, and I've also experienced it when I'm helping other people declutter. We say, oh my goodness, my child is hanging on to so much, and we totally put it on them. But then when it's time for them to get rid of something that we might deem sentimental, we're like, oh wait, no, are you sure you want to get rid of that? That's not really something you should get rid of. So you have a couple of options there. We definitely don't want to say that, because we are teaching our child at that point, oh, I need to hang on to this, when what we're trying to do is teach them what you need to hold on to is what you find important, because that's the basis of minimalism. It's about only keeping the things that are necessary, that are important, that are useful. I know that there have been times my daughter, we're looking at stuffed animals and she wants to get rid of something. Well, maybe that was given to her when she was really young, and I remember the person who gave that to her, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe you should still hang on to that. But the reality is stuffed animals are not things that we can keep forever. I know that when I went through my sentimental things, I realized I had some stuffed animals, but they were really old. One of them was kind of moldy, actually. They don't last forever, and they're going to have to be passed on, donated, thrown away at some point. And so I have photos of her playing with this animal. If I don't, you can take a photo of it. We have memories of this person that gave them this animal or this doll, and that really is enough. So I just caution you to not allow your sentimental feelings to be projected onto your child. Now, if it's something that is truly sentimental that you're wanting to keep for an extended period of time, allow them to say, okay, I'm getting rid of this, and rather than donating it, take it and put it in your sentimental box. But it's just a word of caution, because I know I have experienced this and realized, oh my goodness, I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to hold on to stuff for her when she is making a decision as to what is important to her. Number 3, what about trophies and awards? We enjoy them, but there are a lot of them. And this brings us also sort of into the sentimental aspect of things. The reality is that kids seem to get trophies, awards, certificates for just about everything these days. And so let's go back to choosing a space. So in my son's room, we have one shelf, and this is where your trophies and your awards go. And what I have done is we laid them all out, and we talked about what each one, and he had some memories of different ones, which are important to you. He got to decide what was important to him, and we let the rest of them go. We have photos of him receiving every single one of those awards, and that's really the most important part of it all. Obviously, if it's something that is super important and they don't want to keep it, you can keep it for them for the future in your sentimental box. But this is a really great place to allow them to learn and develop that ability to decide what is important for them. The last question is, how do you get rid of toys without just taking them? So I think a lot of this determines the age of the child. Obviously, if your child is really, really young, you're going to need to make these decisions for them. I would say my daughter was probably about 2 when I started bringing her along on the process. That was really when I began the process, and she noticed that we were decluttering. So the first major declutter I did by myself. I was like, okay, these are things that she does play with. These are things she doesn't play with. And some of them are things that she hadn't really grown into yet. So those things I would put away for the future. But at this point, she is 5, and now she is going to be able to decide for herself what that she wants to keep, we have this space, what fits in this space, you can keep whatever fits inside this basket. But I am the mom, I am the keeper of our home, and so there have been times that I have decided, okay, this needs to be cleaned up. For example, she loves paper. She will write on any piece of paper that you let her have. If someone gives her a notebook, give her a few days, and each piece of paper has been written on, she will tear off the little pages and put them in little boxes and baskets and all of that. At our desk, right off of the kitchen, each person in our family has a drawer, and her drawer will start overflowing. There's no way to close it. And so one day she's at school, I pull that out and I throw away the coloring books that are completely colored in, but she's not making that decision to throw them away herself. She's 5. I will go through and find all of those little extra pieces of paper that are not necessary. I clean the drawer, and the next time she opens the drawer, in my experience, she's like, oh, wow, it's so clean, and then moves on. And so while I don't typically get rid of her things without her knowledge, There is a fine line there, and I think that you can do that. The last tip I will share with you is I have started a basket, and I have it in the very top of her closet. She absolutely cannot reach it, even if she tries on her little step stool. What I do with that is I will notice that there's a toy that is consistently laying on the floor. So she dumps the basket out, that's the toys that she wants to play with. She grabs the things she wants, and then these things are just kind of clutter. They're just sort of left out there. The only time they're touched is when it's time to clean up. I will grab those things and throw them into the basket because I notice that she's not really playing with them. So give it a month or two. She doesn't ask for anything, which so far she's only asked for 2 things, and I've been doing this for about 6 months. So she doesn't ask for them. I'm going to add them to the donate, and I'm going to let them go. The biggest thing that you want to do is when you declutter, when you choose the things that your child is going to donate or sell or however you're getting rid of them, you want them to leave your house that day. Kids are fickle. They will change their mind. Also, if your child ever discovers that box, even if it's been only a few days or a week, all of a sudden everything in that box is their favorite thing and they actually don't want to get rid of it and they want to keep it forever. So move it to the back of your car, immediately take it to Goodwill, whatever you have to do to let that stuff leave your house immediately. I hope that these questions have answered some things that you've been thinking about. They will help you to add margin in your life. I know that for me, my sweet, precious little daughter was the catalyst that sent me into minimalism. And so kids are something that we have a lot of questions about because they add so much joy and wonderful things to our life, but also they add a lot of stuff. So I do believe that as we minimize our kids' things, we can add more margin to our lives. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you'll be notified when the next video goes live.